Welcome to Happy Hour with Steve Guy. I'm your host, Steve Guy. We have another awesome show for you this week. You never know what kind of regulars are going to pop in on Happy Hour, but I do sit down and have a conversation with Graham Veysey. He's the owner of ManCan Wines, and he's an entrepreneur. He might dabble in some things in the Hingetown neighborhood of Cleveland. We'll get into that. But first, here's what people are talking about at their happy hours. Some people may have paid attention to WWE over last weekend as they had like this really gruesome match called Eye for an Eye, where the object was literally for one wrestler to rip out another wrestler's eye, which kind of fits in with how most viewers have felt about WWE for the last decade or so. When they tune in, they feel like ripping their own eyes out, and now apparently the wrestlers feel the same way. In Columbus, there were protests last weekend over whether or not people should have to wear masks. And of course, the people protesting that they didn't want to wear masks were carrying assault rifles because now we know how to defend ourselves against the virus. We just shoot it. Apparently, that's how that works. There was even one guy with an Indiana Jones-like whip. The science is still out on how that defends you against the virus. But it's still very weird, right? Like, people who want to wear camo don't want to wear a mask. You'd think it'd all go together. But what do I know? While on the topic of COVID, an amusement park in Japan announced that they are going to require people to not scream while on roller coasters so that they don't spread the virus. But you're still welcome to shit your pants when the roller coaster goes from 0 to 160 in under 3 seconds. That's what people are talking about in their happy hours. Let's get into our own happy hour. And we start with, well, our angry man of happy hour. This is What's Bothering John. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Steve. Happy to be here, man.
What's bothering you today, John?
I don't know why everybody's still doing certain things.
Like what?
Well, one, the NBA. They should stop. There's no need. We don't need the NBA anymore. Like, this season should be called due to a pandemic. Like, why are we still trying to give LeBron a championship? Like, think about it. Russell Westbrook can't even play. He got COVID.
Yeah.
They got players who are leaving the bubble to do whatever they want to do.
You know what they're doing.
I don't know. I won't do that. They're men. We're going to keep that still going. You got Zion. Zion's not playing. So the whole matchup was going to be LeBron and Zion in the first round. So you're going to change the rest of your whole NBA career is now changed. The whole schedule's changed. Yeah. Because 1 year LeBron's getting old, so you got to get him a ring. That's why you can't tell me they're doing it for any other reason besides we got to get LeBron a ring because his knees are 35 years old.
What about for Kobe?
What about it?
I don't know. That's why they want the Lakers to get a ring.
No, Kobe is gone. When Kobe died, we should have said, yo, this NBA season. Like, he died right before All-Star. That should have told us the world was coming to an end. That should let you know basketball is done. Like, let's wait. Wait till something else happens. We can give basketball a break. Let's really mourn about Kobe right now. This is the guy telling us, hey, stop basketball. We need LeBron to get COVID? Like, what can we do? Like, they even signed new players. That's how bad the Lakers ain't going to have a championship. They're signing 2 new players. They signed Deion Waiters and J.R. Smith.
Yeah, that's going to go well.
How do you still sign the players this late in the year?
Yeah.
The deadline already happened. They're making sure the Lakers win. For what? So he gets a ring?
All right, in fairness, I don't think signing Deion Waiters is going to make sure the Lakers win.
Nobody else can pick him up. He could have. Like, think about it. Van Fleet has a championship ring. That bum should not have a ring at all. He shouldn't be married. He shouldn't have a ring around his tub. He should be clean. He shouldn't sweat that much. He's a bum. He has a championship ring right now. He doesn't need one. Like the Raptors, the Raptors are so bad we forgot they won. Because they didn't win. The Warriors lost. That's all it was. 2 ACLs get torn. Yeah, you're not going to win now. And they almost won. If you think about it, like if it wasn't for Clay having to not be able to play anymore, they might have won that game. The Raptors are garbage. The NBA can take a break. We had to lose Kobe for them to understand this. Kobe and COVID are rather NBA should be done for this year at least. Bring it back 2021. Fresh, new, get Lonzo Ball, one of his brothers in the league or some shit, and just do it to next year. Let's wait till the fall. This is not even an NBA season. This is Rucker Park season. This is the entertainment league. They should be in the park playing outside, not trying to be in Orlando, which is Florida, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's really help them out. Put them all in Florida. They don't feel racist at all. Like, let's put all the black players in Florida. Where the NFL players at? Where are the baseball players at? Where are the hockey players at?
They're everywhere.
We're in Florida.
Yeah.
In the heat of it. At Disney, where it's all that. It's a cesspool of nastiness. Those dirty kids are all through fucking Disney. Nobody's happy and clean in Disney. And they built a barbershop for us. That's so nice. That's what they need. They need a barbershop, not the freedom to leave the bubble. No, give them a barbershop. That's what black people love, barbershops.
I feel like that's just so LeBron can shoot his show.
I hope.
Yeah.
He can shoot a show anywhere. HBO has a budget. He don't got to be there. Like this, they should really stop. I don't care about the NBA. Everybody, oh my God, you care who wins? Not this year. R.I.P. Kobe.
So you let the NBA get to you, huh?
They got to me too, but then you got Kanye, who's not making it any better.
Yeah, that's
Why we let him still do this shit?
I don't know.
It's July. He's talking about running for president for November. This ain't an album. You can't just drop an album. Like you can't drop an announcement or an election. You can't. Oh, I'm gonna run now. Really? What's your platform, Kanye? Anybody with a baby gets $1 million. What the f? Kanye isn't even the president of his own company. Good Music, he's not the president. Pusha T is. Terrence Thornton, Pusha T is the president of Good Music. Kanye ain't the president of shit. Not even his own company.
I venture to guess that Kanye's probably not even the president of his own home.
He's not.
Yeah.
Chris is. Kris Jenner runs that guy's family. He's a great producer. Okay rapper. Everything else is horseshit. He's not a fucking visionary. He hasn't invented anything yet that we need. Old t-shirts, make them cool, fuck off. $1,000 tennis shoes that look like shit. Like, why are we giving Kanye so many passes? Who knows what he's gonna do next? We can't have him loose. OJ's on Twitter. We can't have both these motherfuckers out here talking freely. You can't have OJ talking dumb shit like, man, the world crazy. He's trying to talk about Breonna Taylor. Like, you don't get to talk about murder, sir. Or oppression. You just became black, OJ. You just came back out here talking about, well, guess I'm black now. Yeah, you think? OJ and Kanye, man, we can't have both niggas living. Well, I know you can't feel this way, and you can't agree, because I said the wrong word in front of you, but we don't need both OJ and Kanye out here just talking freely.
Well, you got anything else you want to get off your chest before I gotta go take care of other people?
I hate gender reveal parties.
What?
Those are so arrogant.
I just went to one.
Well, we can't have gender reveals if we're going to also support transgender people.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because your parents can't tell you shit. We already agreed that you can pick who you are. You can say who you are. How can you have a gender reveal from your parents who tell you what you are, and then you come out like, man, I don't want to be Chris anymore. I want to be Samantha. And then your parents got a YouTube video of them blowing up a goddamn balloon with blue powder in it, and I look like assholes. Your parents are liars. A gender reveal should only be reserved for transgender people. If you're transgender, you should be like, I got a gender reveal coming up. Oh shit, I'm going to that. But seeing two dickheads who's just raw, I gotta have a celebration for your gender. You didn't do anything. You didn't pull out, and you kept it. Congrats. That's science, though. It's not a blessing. All of us are not blessings. We were all born, though. Gender reveals are stupid. Give them to transgender people. Have you seen a gay man tweeted that, sorry, black people, Juneteenth isn't a thing. June is our month. Who the f*** are you, white gay man? Like, what the f*** is wrong with you? I met some gay dudes. They are not shamed. They are not scary at all. They're not a scary folk. They are not nervous about shit. They be out here talking crazy. They the sassiest. Like, think about it. When a straight man's really confident, he comes off gay. Cam Newton, the most confident person in the country. We don't know what the f*** he doing. We just know he mean it. He took the whitest of the white man's job. Like, he took Tom Brady, who's the fucking... He's the Michael Jordan of white men.
Yeah, that's fair.
And here he is. You got Cam Newton just wearing any fucking Muppet Baby shit he wants to. Talking like, I'm gonna f*** all these niggas up. Watch this. I got an offensive line with me. Oh, he caught a ball. It was his offseason. He caught a ball. It was like a little deflated. He like, what am I, Tom Brady? I said, whoa, shit. That is some sassy talk right there, Cam. Not one snap yet. You talking cash money shit. And I know Bill Belichick is hard as a rock. I got a running quarterback. Ooh, I never had one of these. I got $100 already on them guys. I got $100 on the Patriots. First time I ever bet on them since the Atlanta Super Bowl. I know God's racist. He don't want Atlanta to win shit.
It's always so great to see you, John.
I'm not drinking this.
Okay. I'll see you next time.
I'll be back.
Dropping by Happy Hour is my guest this week. He's an entrepreneur. He's the owner of ManCan Wines, Graham Veysey.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, welcome to Happy Hour.
It's good to be here.
I start every conversation, I always want to know, what is your happy hour drink of choice?
I happen to have brought my own, some awesome wine in a can.
Oh, I should have known when I said ManCan.
So yeah, I brought a rosé in our 375 milliliter can, which is 12.7 ounces. And then our newest line that we launched this spring, which is Graham & Fisk's wine in a can, which is an 8.4 ounce. So I'm going to crack open the rosé.
All right.
To enjoy. And this is the highest rated wine in a can by Food and Wine magazine. So only the best for you.
What a nice guy already. Try this.
Cheers. So it's 100% California wine. And although we're based in the Ohio City Firehouse, we're in over 30 states at every place like Walmart, Whole Foods, Meijer, Hannaford. So it's fun to be able to put awesome wine in a proven package.
Yeah. How long has ManCan been around now at this point?
So it launched in the fall of 2015, but the thought seed was in the spring of 2014. And I was renovating the old firehouse at West 29th and Church, covered in construction dust. I ended up going down to 25th Street to meet a friend for a drink, and I was at ABC Tavern. And I was craving wine, and yet they don't have much of a wine menu.
No.
And yet there were all these craft beers in cans, and I thought, why isn't there wine in a can? And I took out my iPhone and I Googled canned wine and wine in a can, and the only thing that popped up was a little pink can of Sofia Coppola. I said, I want to put it in a beer can.
Right.
And I called my childhood best pal, Fisk, who I went to camp together 30 years ago at Camp Roosevelt in Perry.
Okay.
And I said, what do you think about putting awesome wine in a can? And he said, sign me up. So we spent a year and a half finding a winemaker out in wine country who shared our philosophy, getting blends that fit our ethos, which is how do you make wine easy and awesome. And then we launched by going store to store, bar to bar in the Bay Area, and have grown to 30 plus states since then.
And how is the rosé going for you?
Rosé it crushes in the summertime.
Of course it does.
And these are our top two. We've got a red and we've got a white, but we've got it in the two sizes. Like Cedar Fair, for example, at Cedar Point, you get it, and you have folks doing everything from just cracking it open and drinking it from the can to the frosé machines that are all the rage. So it's a little bit of everything.
Wow, it's good, and I've read that because people get concerned about it being in a can and is it going to taste like metal, but you've got basically some kind of technology inside, like you're lining the cans, right?
Yeah, just like a Coca-Cola or a Budweiser, they don't have a tinny taste.
No.
And we use Ball, which is the #1 can manufacturer in the world. They've got a sealant that you actually have to send the wine in to measure the acidity. And wine, it's funny because it's the wine snobs that always kind of raise their nose at putting wine in a can.
Of course.
And you think to yourself, if you're truly a connoisseur, you'd want to try it. And so then they try it, but then there are some that are just total snobs. But wine, the two main destabilizing factors for wine is light and oxygen.
Uh-huh.
And you have no light penetration.
Right.
So you solve that problem. And then the oxygen, each can, and you heard it when I cracked open the can of rosé, it was nitrogen. We dose each can with nitrogen that locks in that flavor profile so that year after year, can after can, you have that same consistency, just like your favorite craft beer.
Well, and the thing that you run into with wine, right? Like this is delicious. I mean, it tastes like a bubbly wine, really.
That's what it is. That's the beauty of it. It's 100% California wine.
I could crack open a bottle, and at home, even though if I like wine, I maybe don't drink it all the time, or if I have wine for guests, right? And I only open that bottle for them, and then they go home, and now I've got this open bottle, and maybe they don't come over for another 3 weeks. That wine's still good. So
Right.
It's like, why wouldn't you enjoy the fact that, like, here, you can have this can, which is the perfect amount of wine that you need right now, and you're not going to waste an entire bottle.
There shouldn't need to be a special occasion to crack open a can of either Graham & Fisk's or ManCan.
Yeah, I think it's...
Just your everyday go-to. So, and what's fun is, we've got our dogs on each label. Gracie, who is the Firehouse dog, and then Crosby. That's the 1969 Corvair Ultravan, which is a retro RV that we lived in when we were out in the Bay Area, going bar to bar, store to store. And then you got the historic Ohio City Firehouse, which was originally built in 1854 as the City of Ohio Volunteer Fire Department. I always ask the question as a trivia, who was the first firefighter in the United States?
Oh, I have no idea.
He was a founding father from Philadelphia, and he used to fly some kites with a key.
Ben Franklin is the first firefighter.
Yeah, he is the original American firefighter, and he brought the whole concept of firefighting from Europe to America.
Well, you talk about some political figures, and that's a scene that you're not unfamiliar with. You even ran for Congress.
I lost miserably. I ran hard, but I very far from the finish line. But it was good. I think everybody should consider running for office and being civically involved. And I still am civically involved, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting adventure to run for office.
I mean, he went up against some heavy hitters.
Yeah, Marcy Kaptur and Dennis Kucinich.
Yeah, so which was an interesting time, right? And you can totally correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a point where districts were kind of redrawn because those two hadn't ran against each other previously. Obviously, one was around for 40 years and 30 years. So that was kind of a good time, if any, to kind of sneak your face in.
And we think about it, I talked to friends that were helpful on the campaign and said, was I a few years too early? Because you see a lot of these long-time incumbents falling. And I think that timing's everything, and the climate was very different. And I also didn't have any name recognition. It was a very interesting district. They called it the Snake on the Lake because it went from Toledo all the way to Cleveland, and it was just a small sliver. And yet I got to meet a ton of cool people, went door to door in cities all along the North Coast, and forged some relationships that I cherish to this day.
And who knew that you were going to have to do that years later, but selling wine instead?
It's the same principle. Instead of selling your name on a ballot, you're selling awesome product and consumer product goods. And so this just happens to be wine. And I love the fact that we're doing happy hour, and I can drink legitimately. But the fun part is it's 5 o'clock somewhere, always. And yet being able to start a wine company with one of your best pals, you can drink on the job and not feel bad about it.
Yeah. My favorite throwback from the Graham Veysey campaign is the Dumb and Dumber ad.
You're telling me we've got a chance. It was so funny because this was when we were a long shot from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine who was also in production and said, what if you did a spoof on that scene in Dumb and Dumber when Jim Carrey's trying to get, I think it's Lauren Holly.
Lauren Holly.
Yeah. And he's trying, and she's basically brushing him off, and then gives some sort of opening, and Jim Carrey says, you're telling me you've got a chance. And so we green screened it.
Right.
And the funniest part where people said, how did you get Lauren Holly to do a campaign commercial? I said, no, I just used the magic of the cinema.
Never mind that she looked the same almost 20 years later.
Right, exactly. I just didn't have a big enough gap in my teeth. But Dumb and Dumber is one of my favorite movies.
It's a lot of people's favorite movies. How can it not? It's dumb, but it's great. It's easy listening or easy watching. Do you think that you have any aspirations to ever run for anything again?
I definitely am going to try to run 5 miles tonight.
There you go.
Yeah, give my beer belly a night off as I'm drinking wine in a can. But yeah, I will. In all seriousness, I think everybody should continue to have that as an option. I was listening to Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History, which is a great podcast. Yeah. It's in, I think, season 5 now. And he was talking about there's this researcher who was down in Bolivia doing electoral research on a lottery system where if you, in schools, both high schools and grade schools, they would do a lottery where anybody could throw their name into a ring, but then it would be random. And it found that the students that were selected were way more engaged than people that necessarily want to run. So I always say, even though I tried it, anybody should think that they should try it, because once you get involved, even if it's on the school board or if it's on something like a neighborhood development corporation board, it's all something that you're getting entrenched in your community and sinking your roots down.
Which is a lot of what you're about, even in terms of getting entrenched in your community and putting your roots down, because you've coined the phrase Hingetown, the term Hingetown, a nice little sector here in Cleveland, Ohio, and have been one of the people growing that. I mean, what made you want to do? Because you're like me. You're originally an East Sider, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, grew up in Shaker, but when I boomeranged back, I said I know I want to be near the West Side Market. So that drew me to Ohio City.
Everybody loves that market.
Oh my gosh! For 100 years, how can you not? It's like a cathedral to food with those vaulted ceilings and.
Did you do field trips growing up to the West Side Market?
We did field trips to St. Pat's, which is just down the street on Franklin, or on Fulton. And for us, it was, there's this cool thing. My parents would bring us down there. Okay. So when I moved back, I was like, I want to be able to walk and shop at the West Side Market.
Yeah.
And so when I moved back, I was like, that's my criteria for where I'm living.
Okay.
And I lived above the Old Angle, which is a great Irish pub for folks that don't know Cleveland. And that was my basement. Yeah. But I loved it. And when I was trying to figure out, all right, I need a place because I was outgrowing working from home. I outgrew the studio I was renting down the street, and the old firehouse at West 29th and Church had been sitting vacant for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And my then girlfriend, now wife, we looked at it and said, this is super cool, but way too big for what we need. Mm-hmm. And yet we said, what if we divide here and divide there? We could maybe get a shop in here, and an office here, and our apartment could be here. And so we did that. And what was interesting is we'd tell people, we're at 1455 West 29th Street, and people would call us, I can't find where you're at. And it's because the epicenter for Ohio City has been, for 100 years, the corner of Lorraine and 25th.
Yeah.
And so when you go to 29th and try to get there, it's cut off because Franklin Circle and Lutheran Hospital took away the grid system. And so we wanted to create an identity that was an enclave of Ohio City. So still embrace the fact that we're in Ohio City, and the Ohio City Firehouse has that rich history, but that you had part of the neighborhood with a unique identity, and it's at the hinge of Gordon Square Arts District and Detroit Shoreway, the Warehouse District in downtown, and then the Market District. And so you're right there at the hinge. So that was the goal behind it, and since then we've been continuing to do what we think of as neighborhood grassroots development. But we've got a lot of neighbors and friends and partners that collaborate with us, but it's been a really fun ride.
I feel like you have a lot of people who are either for or against it as we talk about this, because you've developed multiple buildings at this point, and when you read articles about what you're trying to do, it's either a few people in the community who feel like you're not embracing the neighborhood that was already there, or it's people who want you to make these massive, massive buildings like what's now on the corner of West 25th in Detroit. And you always say that your vision is different than what they're doing, but then nobody really gets to let you explain what the vision is.
I think the challenge is also you're reading these articles that have word count limits, and when somebody's writing an article, it's so easy to have good and bad, and it's hard to write in nuance to it. Yeah. And so I think the challenge that we've had is one which is completely one based on change, and I think that with change, people get anxious, and that's completely an okay feeling to have. Yeah. And yet I think the challenge is sometimes when people think, you're a gentrifier. And it depends on what your definition of gentrification is. Because if you look at our current project right now, which is adding 158 apartments with new neighbors coming from all different parts of the city and different parts of the neighborhood, and people who have lived in one of our buildings that are moving into that. That was on an empty gravel parking lot. Right. But then you get somebody, and this was one of the lines that I think, I was at the Plum one night, and somebody said, I don't know why you can't see the romance in a gravel parking lot. And I just laughed. I said, you can't win, because as you said, certain people are going to be wanting to do some stuff, and certain people are going to want you to do other stuff, and you can't be everything to everybody. Right. And so I think that we've really enjoyed the work and the collaborative nature that we've gone about it. We live there. We work there.
Yeah.
My wife's pregnant. We're going to raise a family there. And so for us, it's really personal and one where we've seen these fellow entrepreneurs who took a big chance on that part of the neighborhood, opening up neighborhood taverns and tea shops. And the first Rising Star was there, which is a great coffee bar. And you've got Urban Orchid that really expanded there. And all these folks are similar folks that can put on imagination goggles, make really cool concepts, help build community, and it's been a fun ride.
One of your developments houses a place called Jukebox, which to me, as somebody that loves places to drink, is fantastic. We started this by you talking about ABC Tavern, which already I know you're the kind of guy who's going to have a place in your development that isn't going to serve people overpriced, ridiculous drinks unless they're worth it. And Jukebox does a great job of that. But Jukebox, Cleveland, Ohio, the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, what would Graham Veysey play on a jukebox?
I gotta say, I'll give Alex Boudin credit. He does not have a touch screen. He's got not a old school jukebox, but and I love that he changes it out depending on who's coming through town. And he's somebody who literally wears Cleveland on his sleeve. He's got one of the coolest tattoos of the map of Cleveland with the Cuyahoga River. My favorite music in terms of rock and roll, I love it from an oldie standpoint. Bob Dylan, even though he's the worst person to see in concert. So like if anybody who's listening to this, if Bob Dylan's coming, even though he's a legend, he's the worst person in concert ever. And then like Paul Simon's like my go-to, to the point where my wife's like, you've got to stop playing Paul Simon. But he played down at Nautica last summer. Yeah, but I just love it. Like in Graceland, our dog Gracie was named Graceland.
Okay.
And because of Elvis, but in the ode to Elvis, which is Memphis, if you haven't been to Graceland, it's worth the trip.
No.
But it's got such amazing rock and roll history. But when Simon's singing about Graceland, it's why we named Gracie.
Okay. Well, Graham Veysey, thanks for swinging by Happy Hour. One more time, where can everybody find ManCan?
Well, the easiest place is ManCanWine.com or GrahamandFisk.com. We've got a great rosé special going right now. And it can get delivered right to your home thanks to our friends at FedEx. Right. We won the National FedEx Small Business Competition last month, which was a real fun. We got a lot of free shipping out of it, which is good, and we'll pass it on to the consumer.
That helps.
But then you can get it at Whole Foods, Walmart, Meijer, Hannaford, Rouse's down in the south, and a variety of other spots. Check out the website. We point everybody in the right direction. And when the Browns start playing, and hopefully we can go, we've got special Browns cans that are coming out this fall. And so we broke all the records for First Energy Stadium, Brown Stadium, for wine sales by a lot. And so people like to crack open an awesome can of wine and whack it back.
It's delicious, folks. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me at the Happy Hours. Cheers.
So that's it. That's the show. I'm off the clock. Thanks again to All Saints Public House in Cleveland for letting us film here. Thanks to Graham Veysey for ManCan Wine. Thanks to John Bruton for being angry, I guess, and ranting. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. Until next week, thanks for swinging by Happy Hour with Steve Guy.